This is Matthew Cratter's Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about Bitcoin $100,000, currently trading at $103,000 per Bitcoin. Back in November of 2019, Peter Schiff posted this tweet saying, "Keep dreaming, Bitcoin is never going to hit $100,000, but it has indeed done it. We did it, fam. We memed a new money into being, and Bitcoin is now worth more than 100,000 IRS utility tokens. It's worth more than 100,000. There's infinite money at the Fed tokens, as it should be if there is in fact infinite money at the Fed. Bitcoin is now worth more than 100,000 future USD CBDC tokens." Peter Thiel's written a great book about new technologies, entrepreneurship, and going from 0 to 1. And I think in this vein that Bitcoin going from 0 to $1 was the real miracle when Bitcoin achieved US dollar parity back in the early days. And I think everything afterwards has just been a footnote. Going from $1 to $100,000 really was inevitable once Bitcoin was able to go from 0 to 1. And now that Bitcoin has been de-risked by 15 years of smooth Bitcoin network operations and now regulatory tailwinds, I think it's going to be much easier to go from $100,000 per coin to $1 million per coin than it was to go from $10,000 per coin to $100,000 per coin. Next train, 1 sat equals $1. Sat dollar parity, of course, this will mean one Bitcoin will be worth $100 million, at which point the US dollar probably won't matter anymore. Bitcoin down to $2.70 a pop. So glad I didn't buy in on that mess. This was a tweet from October of 2011. And this is how it always is. When I was making videos a few years back and Bitcoin was below 20,000, very few people were interested. Now we are seeing the crowds come at 100,000 for something they didn't like at 20,000. Of course, Bitcoin has been trading in the six figures in Canadian dollars, in Australian dollars, and other currencies. But why is $100,000 Bitcoin, US dollar Bitcoin, more important? This is, of course, because the US dollar, for better or for worse, mostly for worse, is the global reserve asset and currency, whereas the Canadian dollar, Aussie dollar, British pound, and euro can all be viewed as dollar derivatives. They're managed to trade within certain bands with the US dollar, and they're secured, and the nation states that use them are secured by the US nuclear umbrella and proof of war. So it's really the US dollar that's the real enemy to be defeated. Don't get distracted by people like Jerome Powell, who issue these crappy US dollar tokens. He says that gold is the real competitor to Bitcoin, not the US dollar. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says Bitcoin is a competitor to gold, not the US dollar. And of course, this is not true. But Bitcoin is rapidly closing in on gold. It recently surpassed, in terms of market cap, it surpassed Tesla, Meta, Facebook, Silver, Saudi Aramco, and now is nipping at the heels of Google, to be followed by Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, and of course, gold. And then the next target is eating global bonds and global currencies and stores of value like real estate. Why else is $100,000 Bitcoin important? Yes, the brains of human beings love round numbers, but there's more to it than that. Bitcoin's increasing purchasing power is an excellent proxy for Bitcoin adoption. More and more people are hodling Bitcoin. More and more people are comfortable enough with Bitcoin as a medium of exchange in the future to hodl it today for future spending. So Bitcoin is already considered a medium of exchange by people who hodl it. And as the price and market cap of Bitcoin grow, Bitcoin is able to accommodate larger and larger holders. It becomes large enough to service global trade and to support the entire global financial market. Back when Bitcoin had a market cap of only 100 million, no one could take $1 billion position in it, but now anyone can easily buy $1 billion of Bitcoin in a couple of minutes. And at higher and higher market caps, Bitcoin becomes large enough to be held by nation states and other large actors as their new global reserve asset rather than holding U.S. treasuries. And unlike the U.S. dollar, this reserve asset, Bitcoin, is neutral, ethical money. It cannot be printed for free by a central bank like fiat can. Bitcoin is the world's new currency and reserve asset. This is what's coming. And Bitcoin hitting 100K on its way to $10 million per coin is yet another marker on humanity's journey out of the wilderness and the dark woods of fiat money and to the land of freedom money. Every day that Bitcoin hits a new high in US dollars is just another day that the US dollar has died just a little bit more headed to its grave, like all fiat currencies. Bitcoin is the best money that humanity has ever seen. It's decentralized, it's permissionless, it's censorship resistant, it's scarce, it's thermodynamically sound, it's ethical, neutral money for 8 billion people. That's one reason it's winning so hard. So don't let anyone ever tell you that you're too late to Bitcoin or that you missed the boat. Because when was it too late to adopt electricity, indoor plumbing, the car, the airplane, etc.? Bitcoin is simply better technology, better monetary technology, and certainly much better than gold, than shiny yellow rocks, certainly much better than fiat, and certainly much better than all the centralized cryptocurrencies out there. Every holder of fiat, gold, and crypto is a future buyer of Bitcoin, and they'll tell you so. People trade crypto supposedly in order to get more Bitcoin. They're not going to succeed in doing that. But again, everyone wants Bitcoin, even the crypto people, even the fiat people, and the gold people. And this is because there is no second best. What's the best time to take profits on your Bitcoin? Well, I could ask, what's the best time to take profits on your US dollar, Turkish lira trade? If we take a look here, when this chart moves up, that's the US dollar appreciating against the Turkish lira. And it looked like in late 2018 that it was about to pull back, and maybe you should have exited the US dollar, bought back into Turkish lira. But if you did a reality check and said, why in the world would I sell this very strong asset for a much weaker monetary asset, then you knew that the correct thing was never to take profits on your US dollar position, but always to hold it against the Turkish lira. And so if you sell your Bitcoin for US dollars, it's like selling your US dollars for Turkish lira. You're exchanging one superior form of money for an inferior form of money. And that's why it's important to continue to hold Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is designed to pump forever. So don't get fancy with your stack of Bitcoin. Stay humble and stack sats. Keep your private keys on a hardware wallet. Keep them in cold storage. Never, ever leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. Don't stake it for yield. Don't stake it to earn more Bitcoin. Don't give your Bitcoin to anyone else to hold it for you. There are many, many sad stories like this online. This one from Plebeian Princess. Les and I bought Bitcoin under $500 per coin. I held it until 2021, at which time I put it into BlockFi to take a loan against it to use some of the gains without selling. I was margin called and added more Bitcoin for collateral. I lost all of my stack in 2022 and 2023. There are many tragic stories like this out there. I like this quote from Jim Crider. I feel bad for the people who shake their head and say you were right about Bitcoin, but what they're referring to is an arbitrary dollar value, like $100,000 Bitcoin they're conceding was reached. They still don't see that we're right about the entire underlying premise that the US dollar is going to zero against Bitcoin and that Bitcoin is taking over the globe. And 100K is just a very small marker on this journey. Bitstein here saying before 100K it was you're going to zero, Bitcoin's going to go to zero. After 100K it will switch to you're winning too much. Alas, Bitcoin never gets tired of winning. From 2010 to 2023, Bitcoin is a scam. It's not physical. It's going to go to zero. It's money for criminals. 2024, many of the same people are coming out and saying, you never told us. You got rich at our expense. People still coping. It's just a speculative bubble. It's just from stimulus and zero interest rates. It's just from election and lobbying. Whereas in fact, Bitcoin is simply a superior monetary asset. I like this post from Bitcoin to the Oblivion. I can only think of 4 scenarios when it comes to normies or people who are not into Bitcoin or who don't understand it at this point. Normies will get humbled and start studying and buying Bitcoin. Very unlikely. Normies will give up on Bitcoin because of their unit bias. Highly likely. Normies will start doing ship coining, assuming that they missed the train with Bitcoin, so they need to find the next Bitcoin. This is a huge mistake because there is no next Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a one-of-a-kind event in humanity, and Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Number 4, normies will start getting jealous of Bitcoiners and suffer with Bitcoin derangement syndrome, perhaps try to tax us or confiscate our Bitcoin. I'm a little bit more hopeful than this, but these are different paths that normies can choose to take. I also like this post from Troy Cross. The New York Times has written a begrudging acknowledgement of the 100K milestone, but neglect to mention their own role. So the New York Times writes, Bitcoin hits a milestone, 100,000. The price of a single Bitcoin rose to 6 figures for the first time, an extraordinary level for a 16-year-old
cryptocurrency once dismissed as a sideshow, and they failed to mention, as Troy mentions here, that that Bitcoin was dismissed, of course, by the New York Times. And as Troy puts it, New York Times keeping you poor for the entirety of Bitcoin's history were the writers and editorial staff of the New York Times who falsely claimed it was hacked, characterized it as a niche currency for libertarian dorks, and consistently called it a bubble for over a decade. Again, all these fiat publications were wrong, but I think now is not really the time for saying we told you so, though that can be fun to do. Now is the time for reaching out to people and saying, join us. You don't have to live in the squalor and poverty of fiat money. You don't have to hodl melting fiat ice cubes anymore. You don't have to be a fiat wage slave anymore, because Bitcoin is this cyber city on a hill, as Michael Saylor likes to say, and there's room for all of you to move here and live with us. There is no too late. It's never too late to adopt a civilization advancing technology, and it's never too late to put your savings into a technology that can preserve its purchasing power, unlike fiat money, where all you end up is melting ice cubes and inflation. Finally, really just congratulations to all you Bitcoiners out there. Congratulations to everyone who ignored Peter Schiff and Peter Zion and Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger and Jamie Dimon and Elizabeth Warren, and the list could go on and on and on. Congratulations also to everyone who ignored their financial advisors, who kept telling them that Bitcoin was a Ponzi or a bubble. If you had a financial advisor who did this, you probably should fire them, because they have no idea what they're doing. Congratulations to all of you who put in the hard work to understand Bitcoin, who hodled as we crashed below 20,000. That was an incredibly painful journey down there. Who hodled in the face of mockery from friends and family, who had the courage to trust your own convictions. I think we really are still just at the beginning here. We're still in the first or second inning of this new money. In 2019, I told everyone that Bitcoin was going to $100,000 per coin. It seemed crazy at the time. Now I'm telling you that it's going to $10 million per coin. So that's another 100x from here. It's like buying Bitcoin at $100,000 all over again and watching it go to $100,000. So it's very important to realize that you are not too late. You are still very, very early. I also want to thank all of you for another milestone. This channel just hit 250,000 subscribers yesterday. I really, really want to thank you for your support over the years. I could not do this without you. Thank you for sticking around when the whole world was laughing at us and telling us that we were wrong about Bitcoin. You've all made me a better hodler. My conversations with you on this channel and the interactions. I really think that we Bitcoiners do need each other more than almost anything else, because we Bitcoiners are the spear tip of this new civilization that's being born before our eyes. So I wanted to finish this video, this celebration video, by playing a video that Bitstein made that I think is quite good. It's called God Save the Coin, Long Live the Coin. So I hope you enjoy this. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons.
Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video, and let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for being with me over these years, and I'll see you in the next video.